Ready to go, everyone? Okay. Thanks very much, everyone, for coming along. It's good to be here for the next rollout of some new world-leading technology and equipment for our Queensland Police Service. Many years ago, it was a Labor government that originally deployed tasers for our police officers to provide them with another use of force option to control very dangerous situations and to keep our officers safe as well as also the community safe. A recent program that we've funded, a Labor government funded program, provides $30 million to replace the existing taser stock as well as also to grow the number of tasers available to our police officers. So over this rollout period, we'll see the number of tasers deployed in Queensland grow from 3,900 to 5,000 tasers. That means more frontline police having this world-class use of force option available to them. The greatest thing about these new tasers as well is they're the latest technology. It means that they can connect to the police database through evidence.com, which saves our police officers time, as well as, of course, ensures that the equipment continues to be maintained appropriately to the highest standards. For our local area here on the Sunshine Coast, we'll see the extra number of tasers deployed ensure that there's about a 36% increase in the number of tasers available to our officers here on the coast. So more police officers with this very important equipment to keep them safe and the community safe. And this is one thing we like to do. We like to ensure our police officers are appropriately resourced to ensure that they can do their job of community safety and maintaining law and order in this community. This is a great program. I'm very proud to be a minister who's been able to support this program through ensuring the funding is available to roll out these new tasers and ensure that our officers on the front line have everything they need to do a very good job for our community.
How many more would you like to say on the Sunshine Coast, and how many more are needed?
Yeah, so on the Sunshine Coast, there's currently about 246 tasers deployed throughout this district. There will be an extra 90 rolled out, which is a 36% increase. So more tasers for our officers when they're out and about on patrol. This is a significant increase, and as I said, takes the total deployment statewide to over 5,000 tasers. Now, of course, we've got over 15,000 people in our policing service right across Queensland, made up of over almost 12,000 officers and 3,000 support staff. Not every one of those members of staff are on duty at all times. So having 5,000 tasers available right across the state ensures that our frontline officers have the access to that equipment when they need it. And of course, here on the Sunshine Coast, that boost, that extra 36% increase in the number of tasers will ensure more officers here on the coast have that resource to be able to be deployed to support them in their role.
What's the ratio of tasers to frontline officer, and how does that compare with best practice around the world?
Yeah.
Australia?
Well, we can get some more information from the police around that. As I said, there's 12,000 police here in Queensland. Not all of them are on duty at the one time. We all know police run a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week roster system. But having 5,000 tasers means that those officers on roster, wherever possible, will have access to this important resource. 5,000 tasers right across Queensland is a significant number and ensures our Queensland Police continue to be one of the best resourced policing services here in the nation and actually, quite frankly, around the world.
Deb Freckleton's in town. She's doing a forum talking to people affected by the drug ice. It's the fourth and final forum. I guess any comment about that at all?
Yeah. Well, look, we welcome the bipartisanship on taking action on this very dangerous drug ice. We had a very thorough, expert-led process which ran last year. To be frank, we invited the opposition to be part of that process. We invited them to attend the summit and the forums. We invited them to make a submission towards the final action plan on ice, which was launched just last month. It was disappointing that the LNP didn't participate in that process then. But since that process, we've released our final action plan on ice. It's backed up with $105 million worth of funding to support not only more treatment for people who are experiencing addiction to the drug ice, but also more resource for our police officers to help with that important work of reducing supply. So part of that funding will go towards our Queensland Police Service's drug detection program, and we'll see that the number of drug tests performed by Queensland Police will increase to 75,000 tests per year over the next few years. This is an important approach, and it highlights the conclusions reached in the final action plan on ICE, which is about 3 strategies: reducing supply, reducing demand, and reducing harm. And we've done thorough work with that, expert-led work. The final action plan is out. It's funded with $105 million. And look, we always welcome the bipartisanship on this matter, and we're pleased to see that our action plan has got widespread support from the community, and will continue to, of course, provide those resources to help people who are experiencing drug addiction, but also to, of course, ensure that those people who are part of the illegal activity of supplying drugs are held to account.
Back on the tasers, could perhaps one of the police talk about the tasers themselves?
Yes, yeah. Well, Steve or Paul? Yep.
Sir, if you like. Might just...
Steve, if you can, I'm getting half the Storm Cowboy thing.
Okay, sorry, excuse...
I'm not touching it. So
So yeah, operationally, how are these different from what are being used now?
The X26P, which is the new a new version of the taser, replaces the X26E, which was discontinued. This particular taser has the same operating system. It is a little bit smarter than the old taser because it's newer product. It has much greater data collection, so it will collect data greater and be more available to us to understand when the weapon's been used and how it's been used. One of the great features of the new one, if I could just, sorry, maybe pick one up. Standing, talking about it. It has the same operating system, but the trigger has a 5-second cycle cut into it. So when you deploy the weapon, after 5 seconds, even if you haven't let go of the trigger, the taser will stop. And to recycle the process, you need to then let go and start the trigger again. It's a safety feature. It means that you can't continue to cycle the device longer than necessary. It'll go the full 5-second cycle and then it'll stop. So you can get compliance from the offender then. Apart from that, the same operating system, same cartridge is used, and one other little design change is they've protected the cartridge, that's the spare one in the handle, from any sort of accidental damage.
And it puts a little red dot somewhere, so that's
When-
obviously part of the deterrent.
The previous, the X26E had the laser sight as well. It's a red dot which appears when you activate the device. That dot is placed onto the offender and gives an indication that the weapon is armed. At the time the weapon is armed, also the torchlight at the base of the weapon also activates to give both the officer a view and also lets anyone know in front of it that the weapon's been armed.
And is that in use been useful in terms of modifying people's behaviour?
In terms of modifying behaviour, we've found anecdotally that just the presentation of a taser has been enough to gain compliance from significant numbers of people. Some people will need the taser to be deployed to be compliant, but significant numbers of people have become compliant straight as soon as the taser is deployed and they see either the light or the red dot. If you've been tasered, it isn't a happy experience. So.
And you've been through that experience, have you?
Yes, when we first rolled out the X26E, some of us volunteered to be tasered to feel what it was like, and I was silly enough to do that.
Mm-hmm. What are the main advantages of tasers for police?
It's just an option, a use of force option that is allows us a non-lethal compliance tool. It's a step between lethal force and physical hands-on or a communication use of force to gain some sort of control over persons.
Unfortunately, on the coast here, I think we saw, like over the last 5 years, maybe 3 police incidents where the person was killed for whatever reason. No negative findings against police at Corona inquest. But do you think this prevents more shooting deaths tasers?
Well, it's a use of force option that's available to police other than lethal force. There's circumstances where the officer is making a decision on his safety or her safety and the safety of the community. This is an option that allows them to gain control of offenders without having to use lethal force. So it's a benefit, significant benefit.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone.
Can we just get those mics out of the room? We might get a few shots of you